Hey everyone, welcome to Sunrise Extra Wednesday. Okay, hot topic. Money
hot topic.
And Oregon's beauty, right? So here's the deal. ODOT says the historic Columbia River Highway through the gorge, they call it Waterfall Corridor, is just way too congested in the summer. We've all seen it. People are trying to kind of park on the sides and hike everywhere. So to fix that, they want to charge a fee for every car that drives along a certain portion of that highway this summer from May to September. They don't have a set amount yet, but they say it's going to be less than $5. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's good in the end? Catherine Cook did this story with ODOT last night. Let's get the details from her and then we'll talk about it.
Along the historic Columbia River Highway, every season is stunning. This winding road bursts with beauty without boundaries, at least until May 24th. On that day, through September 5th, ODOT will require people in personal vehicles to buy a timed access permit. They'll need one to drive through the Waterfall Corridor between 9 and 6 p.m. The pilot project is aimed at regulating the number of cars going through the area, alleviating summertime congestion, especially near Multnomah Falls. Heading east on the historic Columbia River Highway, you'll be able to get as far as Vista House without buying a permit. But beyond this, you'll need to pay. ODOT says they'll have 3 staffed checkpoints to make sure you do. The other 2 access points are Ainsworth State Park heading west and Exit 28 at Bridalveil in the middle.
This is really a modest step to start to take care of what's becoming a very serious problem in the gorge. It's no secret that we've got a bad congestion problem.
ODOT spokesman Don Hamilton says the permit cost is to be determined, but should be under $5. He says fees will be used to pay for the permit system.
It's not designed to start paying for new pavement or anything like that.
Oh, I guess that'll be an experiment then.
Adelie Mills works at Corbett Country Market just west of Vista House.
Yeah, there's a lot of traffic that goes through here.
She's not too worried about losing business from drivers who may divert to I-84 to avoid buying a permit. In fact, she says a lot of summertime business comes from people riding tour buses. Buses along with bicycles won't need a permit.
They can take the tour bus to get there and save some money.
I understand the logic. I don't agree with it.
David Clint has lived in Corbett for 20 years. He'd rather see better regulation around speeding than congestion.
It's a known fact that it's getting worse and worse, but I don't know if the money gained and restriction caused by a poll tax is really the answer.
Besides permit pricing, ODOT is also sorting out how many permits they'll sell each day. When the pilot project ends, they'll see what worked and what didn't and go from there. Hamilton is optimistic.
I think this is going to be an advantage for everybody in that area.
In the Columbia River Gorge, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
You know, when I first saw that, I thought, well, why couldn't we just buy a pass? But it's timed because they don't want everybody, with a pass going at the same time.
Right, it'd be the same.
Kind of like you do state parks. But there's a lot more area in those and many more of them.
And that last part of the story, which I missed when we played it earlier on Sunrise, the fact that they are looking, it sounds to me like, at potentially having a limited number of available passes
per day
each day, which to me, if you're going to do that program, you need to do that because that's the whole point, limiting how many people are on that road in any one particular day.
Now, some of these measures seem a bit drastic, like you say, limiting the number of people, charging now a fee where we've never had to pay. But if you've been up there, especially during the summertime, on any given day, you can see that there definitely needs to be some sort of change. It just, Brenda, you were sharing your experience from, I think, last summer on a Monday, like not a holiday Monday, but just a regular Monday when you thought, well, it'll be pretty quiet up there. It wasn't, right?
I know, we were expecting, I don't go up there that often. I just wasn't thinking. But it was jam-packed, the parking lot, the turnaround or whatever that little loop is around the Vista House was absolutely packed. We happened to circle a couple times and somebody left, but the trolleys or the buses that go, down to Multnomah Falls, that road is not that big when you get in certain areas, and I felt like they were taking up most of the space.
Are those like tour groups or where are the, okay.
Those are tour groups, or you know, they have a certain spot, and those vendors will take you up through there.
Gotcha.
But there are signs all up there. It is a beautiful view, though.
Oh, yeah.
Boy, I'm telling you, $5. I don't go that often, so I would definitely.
Now
pay
here's, you know, I've gone to the gorge a bunch of times, but I'm by no means, you know, an expert on hiking or anything up there. Do you need to get on that historic highway to be able to get to any of that, or is I-84 workable for?
You have to be on.
You have to be. Okay. Okay.
Falls, yeah.
Right.
Interesting. Okay. So to do any hiking in that area, you have to go on that.
Well, I mean, I guess technically you can park in Wyoming and walk to those falls.
Or bicycle.
But generally speaking, I would say you need to be on Highway 30.
Okay.
And we
gotcha.
did a poll. We should show that
Right.
because we asked people, would you pay $5 to go up there? And guess what they said? No.
No.
Nope. Yep. And that's the idea. Drew, that was a great point, you know, or whoever said that, you know,
I'll take credit,
ODOT is hoping to relieve congestion, and all of these people saying, no, I'm not going to pay a fee. Well, those are cars that are not on the road. So
That was
there
Rod's
you go.
point.
I know.
Rod
That was
deserves
Rod's
credit for
Yeah.
that one.
Bravo, Rod.
But back in the day, right, there weren't that many people in Oregon. Now all the roads are crowded. The freeways are crowded. I'm like, really? It's noon on a Sunday and there's a traffic jam on I-5? There's a traffic jam up in the gorge. I mean, there are just more people moving to this state and wanting to enjoy whatever it is that, you know, they want to enjoy.
Yeah. You guys got comments pulled up? Can you read a couple?
Yeah, Susan Decker says, the only problem I see is that there are people that have little to zero money for entertainment. A drive to nature is one of the cheaper things to do. Adding in a toll might just take one more thing away. I missed this if Catherine Story mentioned it, but typically ODOT does look into these, you know, the equity of the programs that they're supporting. So maybe they have an answer of something you can apply for, an exemption, and just to get a pass for the day, you know, and not have to pay. I don't know, but maybe they'll look into that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Shireen Simmons. I was just reading through a bunch of these. The last comment I see is from Shireen, who often chimes in on Sunrise Extra. Good morning, Miss Simmons. She says, I'd pay $5 to know I could actually go there and find a parking spot. It is so packed that you can hardly find the parking there right now.
Yeah, no kidding.
I love that
Stanford
comment.
Walker stirring the pot this morning on YouTube. He says, will we have to tip on top of the fee?
Oh, Stanford.
Jeannie says, is this any way for the state to take money? Pretty soon they will charge for the air you breathe. Now, I would be curious, the people that are adamantly opposed to this idea, have you experienced being in the gorge on a sunny Saturday in June where you wished you, quite frankly, had not gone because you're absolutely stuck in a traffic jam for hours? That can happen, and if so, you visually have seen cars parking where they're not supposed to, and all this does take a toll on the nature area itself. I don't think anything I said is disputable there. I mean, it just does.
Yeah,
No, I think
Director
you're exactly
Brian
right.
was just in our ear saying going up to Mount Hood is the same
Right.
for skiers and boarders. They get stuck in those traffic jams because it's so busy.
To me, yeah, you really have to catch the bug with skiing and snowboarding like my kids seem to have caught and my wife has had for years. I don't have it, and I'm not going to catch it because there's so many downsides, including either that ride up or the ride back.
So many downsides. I'm just laughing at your...
My pessimism?
Oh, isn't that gorgeous?
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous. I love that shot, but man,
You're not going there. Doesn't want to go there. You got to put on all the gear.
Yes.
You're driving. You, gotta
You and
fill
I
up the
can hang out in the
car.
lodge.
but
How about that?
Okay, the cost for passes is astronomical in my
Skiing
opinion.
is a very expensive sport.
The cost for gear, astronomical in my opinion. And then you get in the car, maybe you make it up there without any problems, but you're probably going to hit traffic coming back or vice versa. Like, you can't avoid the traffic up there. My goodness, I'm staying home.
That's why you're working hard to send your family.
Is that it?
I think that's what's
And
happening.
then you get
Then
the,
you're alone at home.
Now, you know what happens then? Then they come home. What did you do
Yeah,
all
but
day?
you had the whole day.
I know.
That's
I thought it was
magical.
cool, but until they get questioned about what I did. Was that all you did?
Oh.
What else did you do?
Oh, here's
That's all
the
I
root
did.
of the problem.
Yeah.
Can we have more of your
Lay
comments?
back on the chaise lounge and let's examine this.
Sorry, I
Drew.
watched TV for 2 hours. I apologize for my mistake.
Go ahead, Rod.
Well, Cassia touches a chord that I think a lot of people are starting to chime in along the same lines. This is just the start. Oregon tolling is on the way. It's pretty
Yes, it
unfortunate
is.
to add more taxes when people are making less money. And to the point there,
And in 2 years, if you live in Wilsonville and you want to go to the gorge, you're going to get tolled on 205, and then you're going to get your toll on the Columbia River Highway.
Shannon Thompson says the growth of Oregon is out of hand. I will pay. And Mary Fontana says we are loving our gorge to death.
Yeah, that's the old phrase.
Which was your point. Yeah.
A lot of this has to do with people being stuck in their ways, right? I don't mean to be insensitive, but we just had the same issue a few weeks ago, and we talked about, pumping your own gas.
Oh, right.
And
that bill actually moved forward yesterday, so it's getting some traction. Go ahead.
there are only two types of people in the country that have an issue with that. It's people who live in Oregon and people who live in New Jersey.
We've always done it that way.
The rest of the country says, what are you talking about? Like, yeah, of course, pump your own gas. That's the way it's done. And the same thing with tolling. I mean, you go to the other side of the country. I'm not saying it makes it right or makes it better, but I'm just saying people there don't question the fact that you have to get on a highway and pay tolls along the way because it's been done that way for years and years. Here, we have had it pretty darn good.
Yes.
You know, when I moved out here, I was surprised that you didn't have to pay to go see Multnomah Falls. You know, I was surprised by the fact that you could cross into the state of Washington from Portland and not have to pay a toll.
Over the bridge.
Going to New Jersey from Philadelphia, didn't matter what bridge you used, you were going to pay a toll to get there. So it always seemed pretty cool to me. And now that it's starting to change, I'm like, okay, catching up with everyone else. But if you've been here your whole life, yes, it seems unfair and unreasonable, and it seems like, you know, a crappy idea.
Yeah.
You're
absolutely right.
Seattle has tolls on some of their highways, we should mention. I think personally, Portland's a bit of a different animal because I may be wrong, but I think you could invest your entire life searching cities anywhere close to our size, and we would have the most limited small freeway structure in the world. That may not be an accurate statement, but I bet you it's pretty doggone close. And my point is, in many of the cities, and I haven't lived on the East Coast, but you know, I've been up through Chicago, and in many of the cities, there are other routes that you really can take. But if you start charging people to be on I-5 and 205, you are in fact charging everybody. For the most part, there are no other avenues to go. There just aren't. And to me, that sticks in my mind as a problem.
It's almost like when they were making I-5, they said, how thin can we make I-5 in certain parts? And they said, well, we'll figure that out when we get to Oregon. It's only here that you see I-5 get as skinny as it does in some parts, right?
Yeah, but back in the day when the freeway was built, there weren't many of us here.
I know.
That's the problem. Most of the world has increased their freeways over the past 50 years.
I know, absolutely. Infrastructure, infrastructure, infrastructure. Becca Rotaro says, I grew up there in the gorge, and it's probably a good idea. My concern is that it then becomes inaccessible to people who may not have the extra money, which is sad to me. If we live in a society where you have to pay for freedom, it's not really free, etc. But it's insanely crowded and it needs a lot of work.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, right, with gas prices where they are now, I mean, that's going to limit people from visiting some of these places. I would think more than the $5 fee to get there, right? It's going to cost you much more money than $5 just to get the gas to go to and from some of these spots around the state that are so beautiful to visit.
I like Shannon Thompson's comment here. She said, so glad I have a 4x4 and go to places people wish they could go. Okay, my summer, I want to go to the Alvord Desert.
You said that, or is that
Southern Oregon? No, I want to go there.
She wants to.
I want to take a rig and I want to go out there and camp. I just want to see the stars one night.
Wait a minute.
So Shannon, just message me here. If you've been there, I want your tips.
Nina?
But I digress.
No, let's stay right there for a second.
Okay. Let's talk about camping, shall we?
Nina, Rod, you've worked with Brenda like I have for many years.
I do not see her as a camper.
Never heard of her camping before.
I don't see it.
I've been camping before.
I know you've probably been before, but
recently, regularly, I think you mentioned glamping as your thing.
I've thrown camping out the window.
That's my natural habitat, is the glamping thing.
Yes.
But you know what I love? My daughter's middle name is Sky. What does that tell you? I love the sky. I love it in the morning, noon, night. I want to see the stars, and I want to go to one of those dark sky designated areas.
Okay.
And it's either Bend area or it's Southern Oregon.
But how are you going to be,
dark.
where are you going to be sleeping in this situation?
They actually have
in an RV? Well,
no. They actually have, like, I don't know what you would call them. They look kind of like shipping containers.
What the heck? You mean a coffin?
Or you can, or
that drives? How are you getting there?
Yeah, I drive. Absolutely.
So you drive in a car and then you're staying somewhere that's already
You're not supposed to park and camp in the middle because people race through there depending on the time of year.
Okay.
And you don't want to go there when it's wet because you sink into the mud. So
Okay.
you kind of, I've been researching
Yeah,
this,
you have.
people,
Okay.
and
I see
like you
that.
kind of camp on the side certain times, you know, of the year.
But it has
It's
a
supposed to
bed
be
with
gorgeous.
sheets and things like that.
No, well, I mean, how about a sleeping bag?
Oh, okay.
I don't know, and maybe we'll be in the back of the car. I have no idea.
All right.
But I'm going.
We want a full report.
You got it.
All
I
right,
see that coming today, by the way.
Go ahead, Rod.
back to the show.
Yes, yes.
Fanny White Crane says, I won't pay $5 to see the Columbia Gorge in Oregon. I'm an indigenous native, and I can see the Columbia River Gorge from the Washington side for free. And there are plenty of nature spots in Washington, Idaho, and Montana for, wait for it, for free, she says.
It's kind of the thing that they do with like the snow parks. You know, you have to buy a snow park permit or a national forest permit when you go to so many places, you know, and it is like $3 to $5 or something like that. And it does help the maintenance of, you know, emptying the trash and park rangers and, you know, road maintenance and all those good things that keep this area beautiful for generations to come. So
You guys tell me if you agree with this or not. To me, I think this is a completely different animal for different reasons, charging a fee out in the gorge than say tolling 205 or 5. To me, that's totally different. I mean, because I'm making the assumption, I think ODOT stated this as well, this is purely about we're loving the gorge to death and we're looking for solutions to limit the traffic on any given day. To me, that's a completely different animal than charging people tolls to drive to work on our main interstates.
I mean, but they say that money is going to go to infrastructure and repairing, you know, old bridges that will not last an earthquake and repaving and all that stuff.
Oh, this is
But yes,
interesting.
I agree with you, Rod.
Did you read Katie Abigail Bassett? She says, it's gorgeous up in the gorge, but traffic is crazy. I'd love to see public transit options to trailheads like Seattle has to limit traffic at the trailheads. They offer transit to popular trailheads in the summer months, giving more access to people without cars, and it gives the option to not need to drive and find parking. It's a good
Is
idea.
that what those buses are doing in the gorge? I don't know.
No, those are more like just
Are they more
touring
tour
things. I think
groups that you
so.
sign up for? Okay, all right. Yeah.
Heather Meyer says, too many people moving to Oregon. We've heard that for how many years?
Forever.
She says it's out of hand. I miss the days of no crowds and Saturday afternoon hikes. These changes really are disappointing. People do not like change, right?
I will say it's been a couple years now, but it's on my mind. My family talks about, what do you want to do on this beautiful Saturday? Let's drive out to the gorge. For a couple years now in the summer, I went, no, we're not doing that because I know the traffic is going to be too bad and I don't want to mess with it.
Veronica Gaston says most places are free or discounts for those on SNAP.
Yep.
And she says, I get discounts for OMSI and the zoo.
Oh, good.
So that helps a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, this is, what is it, May 24th to September 5th or something, or about the dates for
Yes,
this.
Labor Day,
And again,
isn't
they
that
haven't
it?
come to an exact price for these timed access permits, but we will be giving you updates on when they decide that. So it is coming this summer, you guys. Thanks for weighing in with us. We appreciate it. Have a good